Welcome to Thank God It's Monday. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs. Joining me is Ted Fells, and we are the Digital Dudes. And today we're going to talk about the secrets learned on our journey to 1 million downloads. And let me stop right here and just say thank you. Thank you for your support of the 30-Minute Hour podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for leaving the 5-star reviews. We could not have accomplished this massive milestone without you and your support. So today we thought we would do this a little different. This is our Thank God It's Monday time, but we wanted to take some time and reflect on our journey from starting where we just literally hit the record button and started talking to now where we've got over 1 million total downloads. One of the things we've learned is that the successful people, they have certain things in common. And we've interviewed some of the most successful 7-figure CEOs out there. And I want to talk about 3 specific things they had in common. And this can help you on your perspective as you approach your Monday and the rest of your week. So, the first thing I've noticed with some of the best is they each had this compelling vision, right? And they started with a vision. And one thing, and Ted, I'll have you jump in just a second. The one episode that comes to mind for me is episode 159 with Chantel Powell. It's the one where his mom takes business from kitchen to national retailer. Chantel Powell, she's the owner of Play Pits Deodorant, and she always wanted to get to a national retailer. So even when she was first starting, she saw it. And she tells a story about how she went into Target one day with her deodorant. At the time, she was just working from her kitchen table. But she took her deodorant, went into Target, went and put it actually in the deodorant section on the shelf and just sat back and looked at it, took a picture of it, visualized herself being there. And it just proves that if you can see it, you can be it, you can view it, you can do it. So, Ted, what are your thoughts on that episode? This idea of having that compelling vision.
No, I totally agree. And that was definitely a very inspirational discussion. And then just to kind of watch her as she, moved from the and to warehouse to, just other, to the actual, to the shelves. Now, the one thing I did mention when we had that last discussion with her for our viewers is, what she did when she put the stuff up on the, her deodorant up on the shelf and took the picture, then took it back. And be very careful with that. You don't want, somebody think you shoplifting your own stuff, right? Because they got those cameras in there. But so you might really want to think about it. Be like, hey, this is mine. Like I put this here. Don't,
Maybe tell the manager ahead of time, like, look, I'm doing
that's
this
what you.
visualization exercise. I'm
Yeah,
not stealing. I'm not
I'm not
shoplifting.
stealing. I'm not stealing. I'm not stealing. But no, definitely. Yeah, very inspirational. Definitely, vision. You see where you're going, and then just, I think another thing is just that, just being, persistent. I mean, she was totally just persistent, just kind of stayed on it. And, and I'm sure, she had her ups and downs, and there's some that, we know about. Like one of the situations she had was she even had a warehouse that caught fire
Yeah,
and
it burned
lost a
down.
whole lot of,
Yeah.
no one, thank God, was hurt, but, that was definitely, something that what she wasn't planning for, but, again, just kind of just stayed, dealt with that challenge, and again, is doing great. Has gotten back on track. So yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, we're talking about the secrets learned on our journey to 1 million downloads. The first thing is just have that compelling vision. What is the vision that you have? And that can help you to get past some of the adversity. We just mentioned Chantel, her warehouse burning down didn't deter her because she always could hold on to the vision of where she wants to go. And she's looking to go a lot farther than where she is right now. So that's a key thing there. So the second key The second thing I've noticed with the best of the best is they are so focused on team building,
Mm,
right? And it's funny because like I hear this thing Ted all the time. Oh yeah, she's a self-made billionaire. He's a self-made millionaire. I just don't believe there's such a thing, right? Anybody that's gotten to that level of success, they did it because they had the right team around them. You may not see them, but they have a team. And the example for me that comes to mind, this is episode 119 with Chris Ward. And Chris
mm,
Ward, she owned her own, still owns her own marketing company. And her husband got sick,
mm,
got diagnosed with cancer. So she stepped away from the business, was out of the business for 2 years. Tragically, the husband passed away.
mm,
And then after she took care of his arrangements and the funeral and everything else, she went back to the business thinking that, hey, you know what? I've been away for 2 years. I have no idea what's going on. I guess I need to look for a job. And when she got back, she realized that the business was doing better when she got back than 2 years prior when she left.
mm.
How in the world does someone step away from their business for 2 years with no contact and come back to a better business? She built a winning team. The team handled it. And it was so much so that even her customers were shocked when she told them that she had been away for 2 years. They just assumed she was there because everything just ran. So that's such a key thing. And that was episode 119, how to build a winning team. Ted, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, an amazing episode and story. Um, you got to have a good team. You got to have a good team. You got to have, some folks that that really buy into the vision, right, and treat the business as if it's their own. But then also, the belief um, that they had in the leader, right? They didn't want to let her down. I didn't want to let her down. Didn't want to let the customers down, and they were able to move. And if you've given them responsibilities and made sure that they know, what they need to do and how they need to do it, then yeah, when you're away, that machine should still be able to move. And it sounded like she did a great job of putting those people and I said, people, processes, and technology in place in order to be able to keep things moving and into the level of excellence that she had in place and beyond.
Sure. Yeah, no, those are great comments. So we talked about having the right vision. We talked about team building. And then the other thing that stands out to me is just this common theme of resilience.
Mm,
I mean, there's so many different episodes we can point to where people were, and the thing with me is sometimes when we were doing these episodes, I was in a down moment, right? I mean, I'm going through something,
mm.
and I hear some of their stories, and after that episode, I'm like, man, I'm doing okay.
Right, 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 right,
I-
right,
I'm like,
right.
man, I thought I had problems. I mean, some of the challenges that our guests have overcome is just amazing. One of the ones that comes to mind is episode 105 with Rodney Flowers, and it was how to become a game changer who beats the odds. And he
Mm,
was an up and coming high school football star and had this trajectory where he was going to the NFL, and just a fluke accident. I think he went to make a tackle and was paralyzed from the neck down. And everybody, all the doctors and all of the experts were telling him that he would never walk again and that he would be wheelchair bound. And today he's walking.
wow.
And just that episode, really, I think about that episode all the time. My challenges are nothing to the things that he's overcome. And just by that daily focus and just being resilient. Other thing, I know we talked to Dr. Willie Jolly on episode 86, and he reminded us of the fact that your setback is a setup for a comeback. By the way, that's a book I think you just should read just regularly because when you
Yeah.
go through a challenge, it reminds you that's not final, that you can come back from that thing.
Mm.
Countless other examples. Ted, what are your thoughts on this whole idea of resilience and perseverance?
It's interesting. I have this saying that everyone has a box, right? And in that box is some stuff, right? Whether it's some financial stuff, some maybe some health stuff in there, maybe some other relationship, personally, whatever's in your is in your box, and you always think that your box is the heaviest box in the world, right? Because it's the box you're lifting. And and you have to catch yourself when you're talking about your box and everything that's in there, because it seems like, you know, God has a way of letting you hear about someone else's box, right? And at that point, you're like, like I'm good with this box I got right here. This box may not be as bad as I thought. It may not be as heavy as someone else's, right? And just and I just think even in business, you still have to move things even though you got that box, right? Because you got people that have bought into you, right? Your employees, they've left other jobs to come join you,
Mm,
and they got their families,
mm,
right? They got kids at school, they got spouse, they got parents that they're trying to take care of. They got all this stuff going on with them. You have customers, right, that have bought into you as well and said, hey, instead of company X, we're going to go with your company because we know that you can provide these services that are needed for, our organization in order for us to do our job and for those people to be able to take care of their families and all that kind of stuff, right? Like, so you have to be able to deal with managing your box because there's so many others that are dependent on you to not lose it, right? Because sometimes you just be like, man, like I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I know it just in my business. And some days, Eric, I just be like, man, I'm gonna go home and go to sleep. But I think I'm tired. Like I'm just overwhelmed. I'm drained. But I know the next day, those that are dependent on you to kind of figure it out. And that's the thing about this, that's what you accept as an entrepreneur, as a leader, right? That you're going to be able to keep things moving with your box, right? And so when you hear these other stories that you mentioned, I mean, I think that the good thing about just doing the 30-minute hour podcast is we just get firsthand like inspiration and motivation every week. And so we thank our guests for sharing those stories, and because again, that gives us that extra push, to to do what we do for our businesses and with this podcast.
yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny, like these people I mentioned, if you just saw them, you'd be like, oh man, I want what they have.
That's
I want to
right.
be like them.
That's it.
But you have no idea of what they
No
had
idea.
to overcome to get to where they are.
That's it.
So
That's
if
it.
you want what they have, you have to want the process too.
Are you built for this? Are you built for this?
Are you built for this? Now it's uh, very inspirational. So again, this is thank God it's Monday, right? Three things you want to focus on to really be in a position to say that. Number one, what's your vision? Do you have a compelling vision of where you want to go? And then number two, have you built an effective team? Right? And it's good to have people in your team that they're aligned with your values. Yeah, they're aligned with your goals, but they have complementary skill sets. So they help you have people around you that are good at what you aren't good at. We just did a coffee and conversation on how to stop doing the things you suck at. You got to check that one out. That's coming out. So you want to align with people. Make sure you've got that alignment there. That's number two. Then number three, resilience. I mean, that's critical. It's not what happens; it's the story you tell yourself about what happens, right? And really just pressing through. And again, it goes back to number one, keep that compelling vision in mind. That'll help you to become more resilient and just look to the guests that we've had as examples. I mean, again, we mentioned Rodney Flowers, we mentioned Dr. Willie Jolly. There's also Nina Perez, who comes to mind. We also had Mark Graben on episode 269, who has overcome mistakes that he's made and learned to benefit. And come out on the other side that's better. So that's our time for this week on Thank God It's Monday. Don't forget to subscribe to the 30-minute hour podcast. That way you never miss a future episode. And we thank you once again for your support so that we got to the point where we've exceeded 1 million total downloads.
1 million downloads. I've been wanting to say that the whole 1 million downloads.
They said we couldn't do it, Ted.
They said we couldn't do it, Eric. No one thought we could make it. No. So that's a joke we have between Eric and I when we talk about like any sports team. Like it's always they didn't say we could. They didn't think we could do it. They gave up on us. Like you've won 3 straight championships. Everyone thought you could do
Like,
it, but
okay, Tom
no,
Brady, we
that's
had a
right.
pretty good idea that you could win.
That you could do it. That you could do it. That's right.
Nobody's sleeping on Michael Jordan. Come
No
on.
one.
All right. Yeah.
No one.
But no, we definitely appreciate you and your support. And
Yeah.
until next time, have a great one.